Revelio. Do you want to win this Harry Potter themed mystery box? Stick around to the end of the video to know how. Nothing ever goes to waste in Star Wars, and episodes 7, 8 and 9 could be repurposed if they have the right treatment. Hi, it's Kieran here at Rule Review, and Star Wars goes far beyond its films. But the three trilogies that premiered in movie theatres are the backbone of the franchise's narrative. The movies tell us the biggest story in the galaxy, which mostly focus around the Skywalker family, the fight between Jedi and Sith, and the political fluctuation between the Republic and the Empire. With different levels of success, each of the 9 episodes of the Star Wars film series narrate these events, shaping most of the content that happened between them, from TV and streaming shows to spin-off movies. Needless to say, not every film in the saga was well received. In particular, the sequel trilogy. Although owner of a significant fanbase, it's not as loved as the other two. In fact, whereas the original trilogy remains the most beloved one, the prequel trilogy has actually aged better than expected, with a lot of the criticism that originally rejected those films gaining some perspective after the release of more media. In other words, the sequel trilogy might go down the same path if it gets the same treatment as the original movies. Even when the content in episodes 7, 8 and 9 are not exempt from mistakes or controversial decisions that are not easy to reverse. Even though we're far from reboots and erasing what happened, there are ways to repurpose the sequel trilogy. As mentioned before, the story of the Star Wars films focuses more around the Skywalkers, while the universe was oscillating between democracy and autocracy. The political nuance, as well as the large and rich set of non-Jedi characters, were present in the background as the main plot focused on family feuds with an impact on the whole galaxy. There wasn't enough room to develop the specifics of the galactic government's transformations, the different tribes and planets who abided by the changes and those who didn't, and the many ways both the Republic and the Empire were followed and resisted in each era. Even though the Star Wars comics had already done a lot to cover the gaps in the story, it wasn't until more movies and TV shows actually shown what's going on behind the scenes of Skywalker's attempt to defeat the Empire. Star Wars Rogue One provided further context on how the original plan to end the Death Star came to be, and shows like Rebels elaborated on how other insurgent groups worked against the Imperial Order. This series also provided context on the Empire's scheme to persecute every remaining Jedi, something that Obi-Wan Kenobi further explained from the perspective of one of the franchise's most memorable characters. The point is that the context between films and behind each trilogy reevaluated what's going on in the movie, even with some of them not being a hit in the first place. What's deemed as poor choices from movies in terms of what's told benefits from enticing complementary media that provides the right context. And that's exactly what the sequel trilogy desperately needs to become more relevant. One of the major problems with episodes 7, 8 and 9 is that there seems to be a lot of loose ends, or elements that were properly hinted at but need to become shows or films in the not so distant future. For starters, the new Jedi Academy built by Luke Skywalker is starting to surface in The Mandalorian, The Book of Boba Fett and in The Last Jedi, which actually marks what could be the beginning of its demise. To put it differently, we as the viewers already know the basics of how it started and how it ended, but an interesting middle narrative could bring new value to the story so far. The second arc that Disney is already looking to elaborate on is Rey's revival of the Jedi Academy. What happens in episode 9 is blurry, but it can justify part of what happened in previous films, even when the facts were messy to say the least. The Jedi were not as present as they could have been in the sequel trilogy, and Rey can only correct that in only so many ways. Last but not least, the most controversial aspect of the sequel trilogy should not be ignored, and that's Palpatine's revival. Though criticised, Star Wars should embrace it fully, as denying it would be hitting Rise of Skywalker on the floor. The concept, though conflictive with the original narrative of the trilogy and unoriginal in terms of representing evil in Star Wars, has some interesting ideas that would make for a good movie or show, such as a cult that wants to bring an old leader back and conspiracies that can be a great plot to watch. The goal is to give new strength to undeveloped ideas, even if it's not initially well received, as it solidifies the whole structure of the narrative. Fill in the gaps is basically Star Wars' essence. Knowing that Anakin Skywalker would eventually become Darth Vader didn't stop audiences from flocking to the cinema to see the prequel trilogies, even if not everyone was entirely happy with how those films turned out. Complex franchises such as this thrive on expansion rather than individual masterpieces. The sequel trilogy would gain new perspective as long as it's properly developed. So guys, let me know in the comments below, have I got the right idea? Do you think a couple of series would benefit the sequel trilogy to help it out? I'd love to know your thoughts and feelings about this in the comments below. And if you want to win this magical Harry Potter themed mystery box, all you need to do are these 3 simple things. Number 1, leave a like on this video. Number 2, leave a comment on any of my videos. It could be just as simple as a heart emoji. And number 3 is the most important, make sure you are subscribed. and one lucky random subscriber will be announced on the 30th of September. You can even hit that bell icon to keep up to date with my latest uploads and giveaways, such as my comic book giveaways every fortnight. And just before I go, make sure you smash that like and subscribe button. Let's run that algorithm up and help this channel grow. So with all of that being said, I will see you in the next one, but until then, take care.